Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every life when emotions run high and the storm within feels more dangerous than the storm outside. We are human. We feel, we react, we hurt, we celebrate. But when emotion becomes the master rather than the servant, it leads us down a path we were never meant to walk. There comes a moment in life when the storm raging inside is louder than anything around us. It's in these moments we realize just how powerful emotions can be. They surge through us like waves. Anger, fear, sadness, excitement, jealousy, shame, and if we're not careful, they begin to steer the ship of our lives. To control your emotions is not about becoming emotionless. It's not about pretending you don't feel anything or forcing yourself to be stoic in every situation. Rather, it's about gaining the awareness and discipline to manage what you feel in a way that serves your long-term well-being, not just your immediate reaction. Feelings are not facts, but they do carry information. They tell us something important about ourselves, our desires, our wounds, and even our values. But when emotions are allowed to dominate without check, they become dangerous. Uncontrolled anger can damage relationships beyond repair. Untamed fear can paralyze us from taking the very steps needed to change our lives. Sadness, when indulged without boundaries, can morph into depression. Jealousy, left to fester, leads to envy and resentment that corrodes the soul. If we do not understand and regulate these emotions, they will drive our words, our actions, and ultimately our results. Think of a time you said something in anger you later regretted. That's the cost of allowing a momentary emotion to guide a permanent decision. Think of the times you avoided a challenge out of fear. Those were lost opportunities. Or the nights you cried over things you now see were temporary. What you felt was real, but not always right. There's a difference between what you feel and what's actually true. And growth comes from learning to recognize that distinction. To control emotions is to take responsibility for your internal world. It is choosing to pause before you speak, to breathe before you react, and to reflect before you decide. It is not about suppressing your emotions, it is about mastering your response to them. Even in the most emotionally intense situations, you still have a choice. That moment between emotion and action is where power lives. That split second where you can choose to react with rage or to respond with wisdom is where your strength is built. When you start to observe your emotions rather than be overwhelmed by them, something incredible happens. You begin to reclaim your power. Instead of being swept away by frustration, you can understand its source. Instead of drowning in anxiety, you can ground yourself in the present. Instead of letting sadness consume you, you can sit with it, learn from it, and then rise above it. Mastery of emotion is not a destination. It is a daily practice. Some days you'll feel in control, other days you won't. But every moment is an opportunity to grow. The people who achieve the most, maintain the healthiest relationships, and walk with purpose are not the ones who never feel negative emotions. They are the ones who learn how to feel deeply but act wisely. They understand that emotions are messengers, not dictators. They use emotion as fuel, not chains. And they keep their eyes fixed on what matters more than how they feel in a passing moment. Learning to control your emotions is one of the greatest forms of strength you'll ever build. It is the key to making better decisions, living with integrity, and becoming the kind of person others can trust and follow. It is the difference between chaos and clarity, between breakdown and breakthrough. You were never created to be at the mercy of your moods. You were created to rise above them and to lead yourself with wisdom, patience, and grace. When anger knocks on your door, pause. That pause is not just silence, it is strength. It's the space where emotional maturity begins. In that moment, you are presented with a choice that can either escalate a situation or diffuse it completely. Too often, people equate power with loudness, with explosive reactions, with immediate responses, but true power lies in restraint. When you are able to feel the full force of anger surging through your chest and still choose to pause, to hold back, to think, it means you have not given away control. You have kept your power. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Anger is not evil in itself. It's a natural response when you feel hurt, disrespected, or betrayed. But unmanaged anger can become a destructive force, tearing down trust, love, and even your own peace. The pause gives you perspective. It allows your mind to catch up with your heart. It gives your spirit the space to ask the most important question. Is this response going to help, or will it just satisfy a temporary emotion? What good is it to win the argument if you lose the relationship? What value is there in proving a point if it damages your integrity? These are questions that don't arise when we react without thinking, but they become crystal clear when we choose to pause. Similarly, when fear rises like a wave, we must learn to breathe. Fear is like a fog that clouds the path ahead. It makes problems look bigger than they are and shrinks our view of what we're capable of. But a deep breath grounds you. It brings your attention back to the present moment. It interrupts the spiral of what-ifs and I can'ts that fear loves to whisper. Inhale slowly and exhale deliberately, not just with your lungs, but with your intention. Remind yourself that fear is a feeling, not a fact. It may be loud, but it doesn't have the final say. Breathing through fear reminds you that you're still here, still able, still in control. Fear will always show up when you're on the edge of growth. It appears when you're about to step into something greater, new opportunities, deeper relationships, unfamiliar territory. It's natural to feel fear, but it's not necessary to obey it. The breath becomes your anchor. With every inhale, you gather strength. With every exhale, you release doubt. It's not about eliminating fear entirely. It's about moving forward in spite of it. You don't need to feel confident to act. You need only to act and confidence will follow. Then comes jealousy, that subtle and corrosive emotion that whispers you're not enough, that someone else has what you deserve, that you're falling behind. Jealousy blinds us to our blessings and focuses our attention on what others have rather than what we're called to do. When jealousy creeps in, step back. That step is more than distance. It is clarity. It is the decision to stop comparing and start appreciating. You cannot walk your purpose while constantly staring at someone else's path. Stepping back allows you to see your life from a wider angle, to remember what you've already overcome, and to realign with your own goals. You cannot defeat jealousy with denial or shame, but you can overcome it with gratitude. Gratitude reminds you of everything you do have, everything you've accomplished, and all the unique gifts within you. That step back lets you regroup, refocus, and rise. It gives you the power to bless others while still believing in your own future. Emotional control is built in these moments, not when everything is calm, but when everything inside you wants to explode, run, or compare. Learning to pause, breathe, and step back is the training ground of character. And character is what will carry you when feelings try to lead you astray. You were never created to be a slave to fleeting feelings. Emotions were meant to serve you, not rule you. They are part of the human experience, but they are not supposed to control your decisions, define your identity, or dictate your direction. You are more than what you feel in a single moment. You are a soul with purpose, a mind with the power to choose, and a spirit with the ability to rise above temporary storms. When you understand this, you begin to walk in a higher form of self-awareness, where emotions are acknowledged but not allowed to take over your life. Feelings come and go. They fluctuate with circumstances, moods, stress, and even your physical health. But your values, your character, your principles, those must remain steady. If you live according to emotion, your life will always be reactive, never intentional. You will be swayed by every insult, triggered by every inconvenience, and discouraged by every challenge. But when you begin to lead your emotions instead of letting them lead you, everything begins to change. You stop speaking words you later regret. You stop burning bridges that could have led to beautiful futures. You stop abandoning dreams just because today feels heavy. The truth is, you don't always feel like doing the right thing. You won't always feel motivated, peaceful, kind, or strong. That's why emotional discipline is critical. Discipline says, even if I feel angry, I'll still choose kindness. Discipline says, even when fear screams, I'll keep moving forward. Discipline says, even when I feel like giving up, I'll take one more step. Without this kind of discipline, emotions become the boss, and that boss is unreliable. Leading yourself well means recognizing that your emotions may be loud, but your purpose must be louder. Too many people mistake their emotions for their identity. They say things like, I'm just an angry person, or I'm always anxious, or that's just who I am. No, that may be what you're feeling, but that's not who you are. Emotions are not your name. They're not your destiny. They're not your truth. They are temporary states, not permanent labels. You have the power to feel an emotion and still say, I choose a different path. That's the essence of emotional mastery. Feeling deeply but choosing wisely. This doesn't mean you suppress or ignore what you feel. In fact, suppression is just another way of letting emotions control you from the inside. What you resist often grows stronger. The goal is not to bottle your emotions, but to process them in a healthy way, to observe them without judgment, to ask, what is this feeling trying to show me? And then to decide, Is this a voice I need to follow or just noise I need to move through? When you reach this level of awareness, you stop living at the mercy of emotional waves. You become the steady hand on the wheel, even in a storm. And storms will come. There will be betrayal, disappointment, loss, injustice, unfairness. Moments that provoke every emotion you didn't know you had. But those are the exact moments that reveal your growth. Not how you feel, but how you respond. Not how loud your emotions get, but how anchored your soul remains. Because the real test is not about how calm you are when everything is peaceful. It's how calm you can remain when everything is shaking. Can you still be kind when anger tempts you to be cruel? Can you still believe when doubt tries to take over? Can you still be gentle with yourself when shame tries to beat you down? You were never meant to live at the mercy of your emotions. You were meant to lead them with wisdom, with discipline, and with grace. That is how you protect your purpose. That is how you build lasting peace. That is how you step into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. To master your emotions is to master your life. That simple truth holds more power than most people realize. Emotions are not just inner reactions. They shape how we think, how we speak, how we relate to others, and even how we see ourselves. If you don't learn to master your emotions, they will end up mastering you. And when that happens, life begins to feel like a roller coaster you can't get off. But when you learn to take charge of your inner world, when you no longer react blindly to every emotional impulse, that's when your real power begins to emerge. That's when your life begins to stabilize, to grow, and to move forward with purpose. Mastery of emotion doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you feel deeply, but you choose wisely. It means you experience the highs and the lows, but you do not let either one control your next step. You are not numb, you are focused. You are not cold, you are clear. It means you can hear the scream of anger but still speak with kindness. You can face disappointment without giving up. You can walk through sadness without becoming it. This kind of control doesn't come overnight, but it comes through practice. And every day gives you opportunities to build that practice, small choices that shape a powerful mindset. Every time you choose patience instead of snapping in frustration, you are mastering your emotions. Every time you choose to speak the truth with love instead of with aggression, you are building emotional maturity. Every time you choose to walk away from conflict rather than fuel it, you are proving that you are in control. These are not signs of weakness, they are signs of deep inner strength. Emotional mastery is not about how much you can suppress, but how much you can handle without letting it handle you. There will be moments in life where your emotions feel bigger than you. Moments where grief feels unbearable, where betrayal stings like fire, where fear grips you in silence, where shame tries to steal your sense of worth. In those moments, you must remind yourself that your feelings are valid, but they are not the final word. You can feel broken and still be whole. You can feel afraid and still move forward. You can feel angry and still choose peace. Mastery comes not by denying the emotion, but by not letting it define your response. People who master their emotions live differently. They have more peace because they are not ruled by every passing feeling. They have deeper relationships because they communicate with intention, not just impulse. They succeed more consistently because they don't let failure paralyze them or let success make them arrogant. They remain grounded, steady, and focused even when life throws its worst at them. Why? Because they have trained their emotions to follow their purpose, not sabotage it. Emotional mastery is not something someone gives you. It's something you build one moment at a time. It's the result of choosing not to quit when your emotions beg you to stop. Choosing not to speak when your emotions want you to explode. Choosing not to retreat when fear tells you to run. Every time you make that choice, you strengthen your soul. You show yourself in the world that your emotions do not own you. You own your response. You own your peace. You own your path. This is what it means to master your emotions. It's not perfection, it's progress. It's not pretending, it's choosing. And in choosing, you reclaim your power. Because once you master what's within, the world around you can no longer shake what's unshakable in you. That is the essence of strength. That is the gateway to freedom. And that is how you begin to truly master your life. The difference between growth and regret often lies in a split-second decision. One brief moment where you choose whether to act from emotion or from wisdom. That instant may feel small, but it carries enormous weight. In those few seconds, you decide whether to build up or tear down, to speak life or cause damage, to stay on the path of growth or step into a place you'll later wish you hadn't. Emotions are powerful, but when they lead your actions unchecked, they often take you to places you never meant to go. Growth demands restraint, reflection, and responsibility. Regret is the result of reacting without those things. Think about how fast a situation can escalate when emotions are in charge. A single word said in anger can turn a misunderstanding into a broken relationship. A rushed decision made from fear can cause you to miss an opportunity that may never come again. A moment of envy, if followed, can shift your focus away from your purpose and trap you in a cycle of comparison and dissatisfaction. The aftermath of such decisions often leaves you wondering, why did I do that? Why didn't I just take a breath? But by then the damage is done, and what could have been a moment of growth becomes a chapter of regret. Growth is not found in the absence of emotion, but in your ability to manage it wisely. It's in choosing silence when you're tempted to shout. It's in taking a step back when your pride wants to push forward. It's in asking yourself not just how do I feel right now, but also what kind of person do I want to be in this moment. Emotions want immediate satisfaction. Growth wants long-term peace. Emotions want to win now. Growth wants to win in life. Growth doesn't always feel good in the moment. In fact, it often feels uncomfortable. It feels like biting your tongue, swallowing your pride, walking away or saying sorry. But those uncomfortable moments become the foundation for emotional strength and character. Every time you choose wisdom over impulse, you invest in a future with fewer regrets. You give yourself the gift of peace, of integrity, of respect from yourself and from others. Regret is heavy because it's full of what-ifs and if-onlys. But growth gives you the confidence to say, I didn't react, I responded. I didn't lose control, I remained grounded. This doesn't mean you'll always get it right. No one does. But the more you practice pausing before reacting, the more natural it becomes to choose growth over regret. That pause, that breath, that brief moment of reflection, it's where everything changes. It's where maturity begins. It's where the emotional storms inside you are calmed by something stronger, your intention. You don't need a perfect plan in that moment. You just need the awareness to step back and ask, what outcome do I want from this? That question alone is enough to shift you from reaction to responsibility. It shifts the focus from how you feel to who you're becoming. When you train yourself to recognize the space between emotion and action, you begin to master your behavior instead of being mastered by it. You start building a life that's not ruled by chaos, but led by purpose. You stop letting temporary feelings create permanent consequences. That's how you grow, moment by moment, decision by decision. And every time you make that better choice, even when it's hard, you reduce the weight of future regret and strengthen the foundation of your inner life. Growth is not some big destination. It's hidden in those quiet decisions you make when no one's watching. And that is where real change begins. Do not let emotions hijack your identity. One of the greatest mistakes people make is confusing what they feel with who they are. Emotions are experiences, not definitions. You may feel anger, but that doesn't make you an angry person. You may feel afraid, but that doesn't make you a coward. You may feel unworthy, but that doesn't mean you are worthless. Emotions are indicators, not identity markers. Yet so many people build their self-perception on the foundation of a fleeting feeling, allowing temporary emotions to speak permanent things about who they are. This is where people get stuck, when they let how they feel determine who they become. There is a subtle danger in letting emotions speak for identity. The longer you live in that space, the more you reinforce it with your thoughts, words, and behaviors. You start telling yourself stories like, I always mess things up, I'm not meant for success, I'm just not lovable, all because of how you felt in a difficult moment. But the truth is, emotions are often loud and misleading. They're influenced by external situations, internal memories, unresolved wounds, and even physical fatigue. When you attach identity to emotions, you give something unstable the power to shape your life. You are not your emotions. You are the one experiencing them. Just as the sky is not the storm, you are not the turmoil passing through your heart. You are the observer, the thinker, the one with the ability to choose how you respond. Identity should be built on values, principles, truth, and purpose, not on emotional impulses. When you separate what you feel from who you are, you take a huge step toward emotional freedom. You begin to see emotions as part of your human journey, not as the voice of ultimate truth. Think about a time when you felt intense anger. In that moment, you may have wanted to say or do something destructive. But once the emotion faded, clarity returned. You realize that what you were about to say didn't reflect who you truly are. That's the power of distance, distance between emotion and identity. When you remind yourself, I'm feeling angry, but I'm not anger itself, you begin to act in alignment with your values rather than your volatility. This is emotional maturity, feeling without fusing, acknowledging without adopting. It's especially important to remember this in seasons of emotional pain. When you're heartbroken, grieving, disappointed, or betrayed, emotions can whisper lies like, I'll never heal, I'm broken, or I'm not enough. But these emotions, while deeply real, do not have the right to rename you. You may feel crushed, but you are not defeated. You may feel empty, but your story is far from over. Who you are is not defined by what you feel at your lowest point. It's revealed by what you choose to believe in those moments. That is where your true identity shines. Building a strong identity requires intentional thought. You must ask yourself, who am I outside of what I feel? And answer with strength, I am patient even when frustrated. I am kind even when I've been wronged. I am faithful even when life feels uncertain. I am a person of purpose, no matter what emotions rise within me. The more you affirm your identity with truth instead of emotion, the stronger your character becomes, and the easier it is to lead your emotions rather than follow them. Emotions come and go, but your identity can remain grounded if it's rooted in truth. Don't hand over the steering wheel of your life to emotional reactions. Don't let a bad day redefine who you are. Let your emotions inform you, but let your identity guide you. This is how you walk with confidence, how you face difficulty with strength, and how you stay anchored when everything inside you feels unstable. You are not your emotions. You are more, and when you live from that truth, you live in power. In the end, controlling your emotions is not about suppression. It is about transformation. It's the daily decision to lead yourself with wisdom instead of being led by impulse. Emotions are not your enemy. They are signals, but they must never become your steering wheel. You are more than your anger, your fear, your sadness, or your frustration. You are capable of standing in peace when the world around you is chaotic. You are powerful enough to pause, to breathe, to reflect, and to choose a response that honors your values and preserves your peace. True strength is found not in how loud you speak, but in how calmly you respond. Growth is measured not by how much you feel, but by how wisely you act in the face of emotion. And maturity is seen not in how well you avoid emotional storms, but in how you navigate them with grace. So remember this, you don't have to react to everything you feel. You don't have to carry emotions that were meant to pass. And you don't have to let a single moment of emotion write the story of your life. You have the power to choose better. You have the power to rise above. You have the power to control your emotions. And in doing so, you take full control of your future.